All right, let's talk about something huge, investing in artificial intelligence. It's this incredible landscape of opportunity, but wow, it is also full of risk. So the big question is, how do you make sure you're backing a winner? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
Here's the hard truth, right? For all the excitement, a whole lot of AI projects just don't deliver what they promised. They can be super complex, really expensive, and it's so easy to get caught up in the cool tech instead of focusing on actual results. It's that classic trap, a solution desperately looking for a problem.
So that's the core question, isn't it? With so much on the line, your time, your money, your team's energy, how do you make sure your AI initiative is the one that's actually going to succeed and create real value? Well, it all starts with asking the right questions before you even write a single line of code.
And to help us do that, we're going to use this brilliant checklist from Australia's National Science Agency, CSIRO. It breaks the whole process down into 5 really clear stages. It's basically our roadmap. We're going to walk through strategy, then investment, evaluation, risk, and finally, we'll zoom out to the big picture.
Okay, first up, strategy and problem definition. This is the bedrock. Seriously, if you get this part wrong, everything, and I mean everything, that comes after is built on shaky ground. The most important question you can ask right now is, are you really, truly solving the right problem?
And this is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Is your project actually focused on a real, well-defined business need? Or is it kind of just a cool tech toy? Does it genuinely line up with your organization's mission? And, this is the big one, can you build a business case that clearly shows how you're going to measure the benefits? If you can't, that's a huge red flag. Okay, so let's move on to Section 2, Investment and Data Foundations. Once you've nailed down the problem, you've got to get real about what it's going to take to solve it. Do you actually have the right resources ready to go?
Now, what I love about this is the focus on a holistic view. See, investment isn't just the sticker price on the software. Think of it like a 3-legged stool. You've got the tech, you've got the data, and you've got the people, the human capital. And just as important, have you thought about the total cost? Not just what it costs today, but what it's going to cost to maintain and operate for years to come.
And let's dive into that term human capital for a second. This isn't just about hiring one data scientist and calling it a day. No, it's the whole ecosystem of people. Does your team have the right skills? What kind of training are they going to need? And what has to change in your organization for this new AI tool to actually get used properly? It always comes back to the people.
And of course, the fuel for any AI system, the data. You have to ask the tough questions. Is the data you need even available? Is it accessible? Is it clean enough to actually be useful? Because if not, that's a whole other project right there. And just as critical, do you have a solid handle on the rules of the road for that data? Like who owns it? And what are the privacy and security requirements?
So that leads us right into Section 3, Robust Project Evaluation. Okay, you've got a strategic goal, you know what resources you need. Now, how do you actually figure out if the project is worth the investment? How do you measure the value?
And what's great here is you've got different tools for different jobs. Depending on what you're trying to achieve, you might use return on investment, or ROI, if you're just looking at profitability, or maybe net present value, NPV, to see what future cash flow is worth in today's money. Then there's the simple payback period, or for those really big projects, a full benefit cost analysis that looks at the whole picture.
But, not everything that matters can be stuffed into a spreadsheet. What if you have multiple goals, like being more efficient and making customers happier? That's where something like a weighted scorecard comes in handy. It's also super important to think about the qualitative stuff and what all your different stakeholders think. And for those really high-risk, high-reward projects, you might use a cool method called real options analysis. The idea there is simple. Sometimes the value isn't the immediate win, but the doors it opens for you down the road. It's the value of flexibility.
All right, time for a really important reality check. Section 4, Risk, Ethics, and Uncertainty. This is where you stop daydreaming about all the things that could go right and you start seriously planning for all the things that could go wrong. A good risk assessment has to cover all the bases. You've got to think about the tech. What could fail? What could go wrong in the day-to-day operations? What are the financial risks? And more, what are the societal and ethical risks? How could this blow back on your reputation or your customers' trust?
Let's just pause on that last point for a second. The guide really highlights things like fairness, transparency, and accountability. And these aren't just abstract, feel-good ideas. They are critical parts of managing your risk. Getting this stuff wrong can absolutely destroy public trust and stop your project dead in its tracks. So, just knowing the risks isn't enough. You need a clear plan to deal with them. And for the stuff you just can't predict, scenario planning is an amazing tool to play out different possible futures. And you should always be asking yourself, what if some new tech comes along in 2 years that makes this whole thing obsolete? You have to plan for that kind of uncertainty.
And that brings us to our final section, the big picture perspective. This is where we zoom all the way out from this one project and ask one last, really crucial question. Does this thing actually fit into our overall strategy?
See, no AI project should ever exist in a vacuum. It has to be part of a balanced portfolio. You might have some low-risk, steady-eddy projects over here and some high-risk experimental moonshots over there. The key is that altogether, they move your organization's strategy forward in a smart, balanced way.
And now, maybe the most powerful and sometimes most difficult question in this entire checklist. After all this work, you have to stop and ask, could a simpler, non-AI solution actually get the job done? Maybe even better. Sometimes the smartest solution isn't the most high-tech one.
So, when you boil it all down, here's the big takeaway. Successful AI isn't some kind of magic trick. It's the direct result of rigorous, systematic, and structured thinking. When you use a framework like this, you dramatically boost your chances of creating real, lasting value.
Which leaves us with one final thought for you to take with you. After looking at everything we've covered, from strategy and risk all the way to the big picture, what is the single most important question you are going to ask before you make your next big AI investment? Something to think about.